Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Waters along with Katie Pavlich, Harold Ford Jr., Kayleigh McEnany, and Joey Jones. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. The judge in the Daniel Penny trial giving an unprecedented lifeline to Alvin Bragg and the prosecution. He's dismissing the most serious charge of manslaughter in the second degree after the jury was deadlocked on it all day. But Penny still faces a second lesser charge for negligent homicide. Let's go right to CB Cotton, who is live outside the courthouse in New York City. CB.
Hi, Jesse. Well, Daniel Penny's fate still hangs in limbo now that jurors return on Monday to debate whether he's guilty of that lesser charge, criminally negligent homicide. As you mentioned, the judge dismissed the most serious charge in the case, second-degree manslaughter, after jurors came back twice saying they were deadlocked on it. Around noon today was the first time that they announced they couldn't reach a unanimous decision, and the judge had to give what's called an Allen charge, which is when a judge urges jurors to go back, deliberate, try to reach a verdict. The judge overseeing the trial explained to jurors, hey, if you don't reach a unanimous decision on this charge, a new trial will be set with a new jury. But around 3 p.m., after the lunch hour, they came back deadlocked again. There was debate between prosecutors, defense attorneys, and the judge ultimately making the decision to dismiss that top charge. Since when deliberations first began on Tuesday, jurors have asked to review several pieces of video evidence in the case, parts of the medical examiner testimony, and they've asked the judge to review parts of the law. Retired New York City criminal court judge George Grasso explained to me what makes this case so hard for jurors.
Well, that's the reason why this is such a hard case for jurors acting in good faith based on the evidence presented in front of them. They start off with the premise that the defendant in this case was a good man trying to do the right thing and act as a good Samaritan and help people. And now they're being asked to potentially convict this man for manslaughter and or criminally negligent homicide. That's a hard burden that they have.
And Penny still faces a potential prison sentence of up to 4 years in prison if jurors find him guilty on this lesser charge. Jesse.
All right, CB, thanks very much. Harold Ford Jr., you happen to be the only lawyer at the table. Am I right? Is there any other lawyers?
I am a JD from Harvard, so.
Oh, wow.
But I don't practice, okay?
Wow.
Yes, you practice.
I defer to Kayleigh. I'm just a Michigan guy. Go blue. Beat Ohio State this
a big win. All right, we're going to go Ivies over Big Ten. Fine, let's go.
Okay, so here's what I think. I know a lot of people are saying, look, this first charge dismissed, right, the 15 years. This makes it easier for the second charge to go through. Here's why I disagree. 12:30 p.m. on Outnumbered, we had a jury note that came in. And the jury note said that the jury wanted clarification on what a reasonable person standard is. This is why it's important. This goes to the negligence charge, that one carrying 4 years. And they ask you, would a reasonable average person have perceived the risk to Jordan Neely? Well, there seems to be disagreement if they need clarification on the reasonable person. I'm hopeful there. But when you look at this, the reasonable person, there were many reasonable people on that subway train. The bystanders who thanked him, the bystanders who helped him hold down Jordan Neely, the woman of color who said this, they're trying to make this about race. Well, a woman of color, that's how she self-describes, said he is a hero. It was self-defense. He is only guilty of trying to help people. Those are the reasonable people on the subway. This is a travesty. It's great news. The first charge is gone, but not a victory, a travesty. A good Samaritan being made into a bad actor, a hero into a villain. Welcome to Manhattan. The only other jurisdictions that could do this were D.C. and L.A., so good job, Alvin Bragg.
Do you agree with Kayleigh as a Michigan graduate?
The characterization of Michigan being less than an Ivy League, I'm not going to accept.
Oh, okay.
I will say this.
You're a swing state.
I largely agree with Kayleigh. I come at it slightly different. I think that what the judge has done here is that there might be grounds for reversal if he's convicted of anything, because you can't go through a trial and then allow the prosecution to say, we believe that one of the charges, because the jury can't come to a conclusion, should be dismissed. I think the judge, I'm going to be curious to see once we get more information about how the judge came to this decision. Two, What I don't quite understand, I've followed this case. I'm obviously not on a jury and have not received all of the evidence and don't have all of the things that they've seen. But if indeed Kaylee's right, a reasonable person, if he grabbed that guy because the guy was threatening everybody, and he doesn't let up, or say he did let up, and the guy pretended that he was down or was suffering, and he lets up, and the guy stabs him, stabs Daniel Penny.
That's exactly right.
So Daniel Penny, I don't know. I think it was unfair to even who had brought these charges. You make the case basically to anyone in New York, and for that matter, this is a precedent that can be cited anywhere, that someone trying to protect someone on a train. I have kids, right? I have a 10-year-old and 9. We live in New York City. My wife and I, we live in New York City. I take the train. And if my wife and kids are on a train and someone is behaving like that, and someone steps up to protect those on the train, I'd be damned. As a New York taxpayer, I'd want to see that person prosecuted based on these facts. So Michigan versus Harvard, I'd say it's a tie.
I agree.
As we get here at 5 o'clock.
And the mayor is getting involved. Katie, let's listen to what Adams has to say.
We've always asked New Yorkers, you see something, say something, do something. And New Yorkers have always had the spirit and energy to come to their fellow New Yorkers. And we have to be honest about the severe mental health crisis that we're facing. And this young man was part of that problem. He was in a revolving door mental health system.
Katie.
Well, I'm glad that the mayor is defending Daniel Penny. This is a case that should have never been brought. In fact, it's a case that sat at the police department for nearly 2 weeks. But then when the social justice woke mob showed up to protest, that's when Alvin Bragg decided to give in to mob justice, and bring these bogus charges against Daniel Penny, who is a hero who's had to go through this for the last year of his life. It's totally changes everything when it comes to the consequences of this. Now nobody wants to help on the subway because is it really worth being made an example of in Manhattan and New York City to have your life torn apart this way? You know, Alvin Bragg has a habit of either undercharging or not charging criminals like Jordan Neely, who was in and out of the system, had a long rap sheet, while overcharging good Samaritans and good people who want to help their fellow citizens like Daniel Penny. And so now you have this judge pushing this till Monday when the first charge was dropped at 4 p.m. on a Friday. Used to be that you would work until you were done. So now this has to sit for the weekend. They're trying to squeeze out a guilty charge on the second charge, basically saying, well, they didn't get him on the first one, so now maybe they can get him on the second one. And the consequences of this for the entire country are so far-reaching in terms of what this man has been through. And the people who will suffer the most, of course, Daniel Penny is one of them, but it's the people on the train who will be at risk to these criminals who will now be able to say, well, I'm not the one who's going to be charged. In fact, people can go as a mob to the police station and to Alvin Bragg's office and demand that good people are charged when it's clearly, obviously, self-defense, should have never happened. And they're not going to do anything, which means there'll be more innocent victims as a result of just bringing this case in the first place.
Joey Jones.
Yeah, I think this is a case where and this is not an original idea. I was talking to a friend just before the show, and he brought it up. Like, you're looking at the intent of the law versus the letter of the law. If you ask those same 12 jurors with the amount of evidence they've been shown today, and you present it to them and you said, should we indict him? You could probably get a unanimous no. But now that you've given them the facts and you've given them this second charge that is, I guess, ambiguous to say the least, there may be several people there that say this guy did the right thing, but by this law and these facts, we're going to have to convict him. And that's the real travesty here, is that you have a charge written in such a way that you can justify it with less facts than you should have to have more behind you there. I think some of the things that really hurt him is just about every witness that came up that said something the defense could use also said something the prosecution could use. Like the Marine combat instructor, ultimately the question was asked, did he do it correctly? And I think he said no, or he said something along the lines of he should have let up, at some point. And so there may be this narrow path there to where this jury feels compelled to convict on this second charge simply because they're being asked to, as opposed to, are they being asked, is it right to put him in this situation to begin with? That's how I see it. Listen, this is not a regular citizen. This is a United States Marine that our federal government paid and programmed to stand up and do the right thing, even at his own detriment. On the battlefield, he gets a Bronze Star for that. In New York City, he gets, what, 15 to 4 years in prison.
Yeah, great point.
And so that just, it pisses me off, but it also blows my mind. Where I live in Georgia, I probably could have been justified at pulling a firearm on that guy if I felt like he was coming at me at any moment. We weren't there, so we don't know if he ever made this motion. We don't know if there was ever a specific point. But if there was any point like that, in my state, I'm justified to use a firearm to protect myself. And in this city, using the least lethal method, they're going to throw you in jail? I mean, it's absolutely, it's horse crap is what it is.
And what the court has done is terrible. I mean, I really do think this is grounds for reversal, what this judge has done. You can't just throw everything at the spaghetti on the wall, and then when when the jury is deliberating, it's not going your way. So we'll pull that one down so the others. So I hope that the right thing happens here, but if it doesn't, this is certainly grounds for reversal, if not.
And this isn't a pardonable situation, right?
No.
Because it's state.
It's state. Kathy Hochul could do it. Do you think she will? Kathy?
Kathy, it's in your hands. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.